Yeah, it is.
Ask David to turn on the mics for
David, if you could go ahead and turn on the mics for the dais.
or do we have to do it ourselves?
I don't know, go up there and, yeah.
Do we have to do it ourselves? They're always on?
Okay, so Debbie, go show them how to. Okay.
Guys, we're gonna get a lesson on how to do this. This is Joyce Abuka. She is our, Joey, what is C? What is C, Mark? Community media relations. I wanna call her public information.
Okay, the red light's gonna come on, so you can bring it towards you.
Does Jill not have a mic? Oh, there it is, okay.
Everybody should have one.
Wilson, say something.
I just muted it, but it
Okay.
didn't.
You can mute. The problem with the mute is that people can't tell that when you're gonna hold it. It's just
Oh,
easier to turn it on
okay.
and off. These are
We are doing an audio recording of tonight. Yes.
I want you to tell them where I'm coming in. Sign in, check this for accuracy.
Okay. As soon as she's done, I'll do that. The mic is your friend. All right.
I'm gonna pass around two sheets, I'm gonna start down at this end, and we'll just pass them to each other. One of them is your contact information. Just double check it if there's anything about it that you want to change. But, yeah, I got it, you'll see, double check it. Then this is your sign-in sheet for tonight, so please sign this since you were here, and I'll pick them up down by, Kimberly when it's over, okay?
All right, folks. First and foremost, welcome to the organizational meeting of the Northwest District 1 Advisory Committee. As I said to you when you were sitting in the aisles out there, I certainly appreciate all of your time and your willingness to serve. My function tonight is just to facilitate the opening of the meeting, at which point a couple items into the meeting this evening, we will choose a chairman and a vice chairman for this body, and at that point I will step back and this body will conduct the business among yourselves. But tonight I will just facilitate that since there's no chairman and vice chairman yet. So let's start out this evening. I would like to start out with an opening prayer. If you would stand and join me for our opening prayer, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing right after. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this group that has so willingly volunteered their time in times when people are so busy and so much is going on. We pray that you put your wisdom down on this group, shine down, allow us the discernment to make the very best decisions and choices for District 1 and this part of District 1 that is experiencing so much growth. Again, we are very thankful for all the blessings you bestow upon us, and we ask all of these things in your name. Amen. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much, and again, welcome to everyone. We went over it just briefly. I'll just repeat it. At any time as we go through this very brief organizational meeting tonight, if you need to use the restrooms, it's just go to my right, your left, and follow those doors, and you'll hit the restrooms. If you need anything, a beverage or anything, just let us know. We'll make sure that you get what you need. I want to start off by allowing each of you a couple of moments to introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourself, and why you felt compelled to volunteer for this board. Because I'm always interested in the reasons why people volunteer to serve, and of course I'm very, very thankful that you've given your time and you're willing to volunteer. So we're going to go left to right, alphabetical order, and so we'll start with you. Please introduce yourself to us and tell us a little about yourself.
All right, well, good afternoon. My name is Kim Adderholt. I am the Supervisor of Facility Planning and Project Management for Navy Federal Credit Union. Passionate about the whole Escambia County and Pensacola community, but I do not live in District 1. I actually live in District 4. However, because of my employment at Navy Federal and my role there, I have a lot of interest in the development of Beulah. Navy Federal obviously has an impact on the Beulah area with all of our construction, our traffic, but more importantly, the jobs and the positive impacts that we have on our community. So I'm here today to represent Navy Federal, but also overall is my personal interest in Escambia County and development.
Thank you very much. Dr. Bryant?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Laura Bryant, and I teach both at Pensacola State College and at the University of West Florida. I also work for the Department of the Navy doing advancement exams and have been doing that for about 10 years now. I do live in District 1, and I have lived there for a little over 10 years. I enjoy the area, and I am interested to see how we're going to further develop and make sure that the development meets both what the county needs and what the people need.
Very much. Mr. Flores?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Flores. I've lived in District 1, 27 years now. We built there where I worked at for the U.S. Navy and Civil Engineering Command, Public Works specifically, and retired from there. Hence, I went to UWF and got my doctorate in statistics and ed research there. And now, basically, since I'm retired, I'm looking for something to do.
You found it.
I found something else to do, I hope. So, but county-wise, I'm seeing a lot of growth, particularly in traffic and population growth, and interested in the demographics that are changing in Pensacola, what's going on there, particularly streets, education, preparedness for storms, and various issues like that. So a little bit about me.
Welcome. Jill?
I'm Jill Johnson. I think I have a couple of reasons for wanting to be involved. I'm raising 4 daughters in the part of town, and with all of the growth of District 1, so traffic is nice, but it's exciting to see and be and live in that part of town. And then I'm also an environmental consultant by day, so kind of paying attention to those issues as well is of interest to me.
Thank you and welcome. David?
My name is David Lichty. I work for Larry Jacobs and Associates as a project manager, geotechnical engineer. The reason I joined this committee was because I saw it as an opportunity to take part in the growth of Beulah mostly. I was born and raised in Escambia County. I've been there my entire life. I'm raising my children there, and we don't plan on going anywhere, and so I would like to see the best long-term solutions come forth, something that's sustainable, yet accepts the growth that is coming. So that's kind of my gist of why I joined on. So.
Welcome. Well, thank you. Joey?
Hey, my name's Joey Portovan. I'm an on-site architect at Navy Federal. I work for the company ASD that designs the buildings out there. And I also live in Beulah, District 1, or right across from the new middle school, and my daughter goes there as well. So it's a great place to live, and one of the main reasons I wanted to be on the committee is be involved in make Beulah the best it can be with the, infrastructure and the master planning. So I'm very interested in, have experience in, planning communities and condos and stuff like that as well. So I'm looking forward to the challenge and working with this committee and with the commissioners as well. So thanks for the opportunity.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor?
I'm Wilson Taylor. I've lived in District 1 for almost 20 years, but I'm also the principal at Beulah Middle School, which is the new one out there. So I live and work in District 1. So I'm very interested in being able to be part of the design and part of the development of that area, just the growth and everything that's involved in it.
Well, thank you very much again. Great introductions, and I got to tell you, I had numerous applications. I had to whittle it down to get to the group that I got. But I will tell you, all the applications that I received, I mean, it was a wide variety of professionals, and I think it's very impressive looking at your credentials and your resumes that you all submitted. And I think we've got a lot of challenges, but I think with this group assembled, I think we're going to be able to get a lot of great things done. But one of the things that we have to do as committees under the county, really with any governmental entity in the state of Florida, is we have to follow certain laws that are, there's some nuanced things about them. So this evening, we're very fortunate. We have representatives from the county attorney's office, and they're going to discuss the Sunshine Law and the Open Meeting Law and how that applies to what you'll be doing on this committee. So to give you a brief introduction, Mrs. Kirsten Huell is here, and I'm going to turn the floor over to her so she can give you a brief introduction. If you can follow along in your packet, there's a section in there about the Sunshine Law, and so you're recognized. Yep.
Good evening. I'm Kristen Huell from the County Attorney's Office. You should have in your packet a handout, and the first half covers the Sunshine Law. The second half of the packet covers the Public Records Act. So this actually gives you a very concise overview, and it's very handy to have. But I'll just give you a quick overview. The Sunshine Law is codified in Section 286.011 Florida statutes, and it states in relevant part, all meetings of any board of any county at which official acts are to be taken are declared to be public meetings open to the public at all times, and no formal action shall be considered binding except as taken or made at such meeting. In essence, the purpose of the law is to provide the public with a right of access to all governmental proceedings. So this board is subject to the Sunshine Law because you've been delegated certain duties by the Board of County Commissioners. So the law has 3 requirements. All meetings must be open to the public. There must be reasonable notice of every meeting, and there must be minutes of the meeting. So luckily, your staff liaison should handle all of those things, and you will just need to come to the meeting. But I will caution you that what constitutes a meeting is any interaction, formal or casual, between 2 or more members of the same board who come to discuss a matter upon which foreseeable action may be taken by the board at some future meeting. So, you may not discuss any board business with your fellow board members outside of a publicly noticed meeting. That's all you need to remember. You can still discuss Johnny's baseball game, Susie's school play, any social interaction is fine. That's not precluded under the Sunshine Law, but you may not discuss any board business unless it's in a public meeting where there's been reasonable notice and there will be minutes taken of that meeting. Now, a few exceptions to note. You may talk to your staff liaison. That's not prohibited. If you receive emails from your staff liaison and you notice that the rest of the board might be copied on that, please do not reply all. Reply to your staff liaison only. You may have a written opinion statement that can be distributed to your fellow board members in advance of a meeting. You may not use that then as a means to interact with your fellow board members, meaning I give a position statement, someone else gives one in response, and it goes back and forth. But you are not prohibited from issuing a written position statement about an issue that may be on the next agenda, and then that statement will be included in the minutes of the meeting, and that becomes a public record. that's permissible. Penalties, which I hope we won't ever need to even consider, but a knowing violation of the Sunshine Law is actually a second-degree misdemeanor. If you're convicted, you can be sentenced to jail and/or fined, and you can also be suspended or removed from your position. An inadvertent violation is a non-criminal infraction, and you can be fined up to $500. If a violation does occur, the board must actually then take final action on that matter at a public meeting and cure the violation. That doesn't exonerate anyone who committed the Sunshine Law violation, but that action then there has to be independent action to make that action valid. So if you don't know whether a meeting was publicly noticed, and you don't know if the meeting's open to the public, then I would advise you to leave. That's the best way to avoid having a sunshine violation. Now, shifting gears to the Public Records Act, that is codified in Chapter 119. There are several main provisions in Chapter 119, but I'll warn you, there are hundreds of exceptions that are scattered throughout Florida statutes, and that's very overwhelming. But the gist of it is, the Public Records Act is intended to provide a right of access to all public records of state and local governments, as well as any private entities working on their behalf, unless there is an exemption. So, what's a record? A record includes all documents or other materials regardless of physical form. So that includes emails, text messages, smoke signals, anything that is intended to communicate, formalize, or perpetuate knowledge, and it's in connection with the transaction of your official business. So, your personal notes that you might jot down during the meeting, unless you exchange those or share them with anyone else, those are not a public record. So you don't need to worry about giving that to, or a copy of that to your staff liaison to preserve the document. If, however, you happen to exchange emails with a third party, you won't be exchanging emails with your fellow board members, but if you exchange emails with a third party about anything that could foreseeably come before this board, even if it's on your personal email account, that could potentially be a public record. And just to make your life easier, I would recommend that you either copy your staff liaison, or you subsequently send a copy of that communication to your staff liaison so that they can act as the custodian and preserve that record. And then you don't have to worry if there's a records request trying to cobble together all those documents that could possibly pertain to board business. So that would be the safest and easiest route. Let's see. Penalties for public records violations. A public official who knowingly violates the Public Records Act is guilty of a first-degree misdemeanor. And if you're convicted, you can be sentenced up to a year in prison and a $1,000 fine, or both. So I know we won't ever need to consider any of those penalties, but just so you're aware of that. And I think really that's about it. I know that's just a very broad overview, but I'll also add, if you ever have any specific questions that come up while you're serving on the board, you can always contact our office. If I'm not available, we have other attorneys there too, and they're all well-versed in Public Records Act and the Sunshine Law. So,
Kristen, do you want to talk about social media as well? Because that's applicable to the Sunshine Law. I mean,
all the same rules apply. You do not want to interact with any of your fellow board members on Facebook or anywhere else, Twitter, or wherever, in cyberspace. It's the same rules, just in a different forum. So if you see a post from a fellow board member and it's something about board business on Facebook, don't respond to it. And I would even caution, subjecting yourself to your fellow board members' posts. If anything, it could create complications, and it may tempt you to want to respond or post something in response on your own page, or anything that could be construed as communication between two board members is problematic outside of a public meeting. So I always, I guess, try to err on the side of caution. Did you all have any questions? No?
Robert's rules.
I actually did not have anything
Okay, that's fine.
to present on Robert's Rules, but again, if you all ever have any questions, you are more than welcome to contact our office, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. There are a few links on the back page of this handout. I can strongly recommend the Attorney General's website. They have actually Patricia Gleason is special counsel for open government, and she has a number of different resources on their website, or you're more than welcome to contact us, and we're always there to help you. Thank you.
Well, I'll just briefly talk about Robert's Rules of Order. It's, and I'm sure many of you have probably watched committee hearings. I know today a lot of people were watching committee hearings, right? And it kind of consumed a lot of people's productivity today. But essentially, and what I just spoke with Debbie about is next week we will be prepared, next meeting we'll be prepared to go in depth on Robert's Rules, because that's important. You got to be able to run a committee meeting, and the basics of it are that you recognize folks. You don't just let people take the floor. We'll have a chairman that will run the meeting. It'll be someone from this body, and we'll elect that person tonight. If that person's not here, the vice chairman's there. And it's just basics about order and how you run a meeting and making motions and voting on motions and moving ideas forward and adding items to the agenda. It's not really tough. And I will, between now and the next meeting, I will endeavor to find some of my old materials from when I was on the school board. They actually have a training course. It's very easy to read, and I'll make sure that you all get a copy of that. Is there anyone here, if I can just ask the body here, anyone here that has any experience utilizing Robert's Rules of Order? Anyone? Perfect. You're looking at chairman material here, just so you know. Not trying to put my hand on a scale or anything. But we will talk about that at the next meeting as well. But for now, we will move forward in our agenda to the next section, because I do think it's important that we figure out who among this group wants to step forward and serve as the chairman initially and the vice chairman. So at this point, if there are volunteers, because once we select the chairman and the vice chairman, I'm going to step away from the meeting, and the new chairman of this body is going to run this meeting, and I'll just be here tonight as an advisor, or if the questions are out there. So I will turn it over to the floor if there is someone who has a burning desire to make a motion or to volunteer. Now is the time to do so. Okay. Dr. Laura Bryant. Now, if someone on the dais would like to make a motion to nominate Dr. Laura Bryant, now would be a good time to make that motion.
I nominate Dr. Bryant.
Okay, so we've got a motion. We've got a motion from Joey to nominate Dr. Laura Bryant as chairman of this board. Do we have a second to the motion?
Second.
We've got a motion from Mr. Taylor. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a motion and a second to nominate Dr. Laura Bryant as the chairman of the Northwest District 1 Advisory Committee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, you can signify yes by saying aye.
Aye.
Any that are in opposition signify by saying nay. Seeing none, let it show that it's unanimous, and Dr. Laura Bryant is the new chairman of the Northwest District 1 Advisory Committee. Congratulations. Now, please, give it up. She volunteered. Now, who would like, do we have a nomination for vice chair? Is there anyone who would like to serve as vice chairman? If so, seems pretty congenial. It's not a real heavy lift most times. I've served as the vice chairman numerous times. Okay, at this point, we probably need to take a nomination for the vice chairman, so would entertain a. Well, hey, you got a point. She makes a good point, and that happens sometimes. So the folks that are not here this evening are Mr. George Levy and Mr. Jay Ingwell. Does someone want to make a motion? Don't be shy.
I promise we'll help.
We will help. We will help. No one wants to be the bad guy. All right. Hey, guys, we got to get past this section so we can get moving.
I'll
All right,
make a
Mr.
motion.
Taylor,
Go ahead.
you'll serve? Okay, all right. Well, then I would take a motion on Mr. Taylor. Okay, Joey's made the motion for Mr. Taylor to be the vice chairman. We'll take a second.
Second.
Second from Jill Johnson. Okay, any discussion about that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign, which means, and there's none. Let the record reflect that the nomination passes unanimously, so Mr. Wilson Taylor will serve as vice chairman. Now, at this point, I will turn the meeting over to our new chairman, Dr. Laura Bryant, who can go through the rest of the agenda. And if you have any questions, of course, I'll be here to help you. But the next bullet point is about frequency of meetings. So at this point, this will be a discussion among you guys. If you look at the resolution, it's set up as no less than every 2 months. And I think initially that's probably a good target as we figure out exactly what, the way forward and what we're going to be doing. But you folks would want to figure out exactly how you want to do that. And so I'll let you lead the discussion from this point forward.
Thank you, Commissioner. Does anyone have any ideas about how frequently you would like to meet? I'm thinking once a month. Once a month?
Yeah, I think that sounds good as well.
We can change it as need be.
No, I agree with that.
Okay.
Once a month.
All right. Once a month
Do we
sounds
need a
good to me.
motion?
Do we need a motion?
I move to meet once a month.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. We'll meet once a month.
Time?
And today is September 27th at 6:28.
No.
Going forward, do you want to do it Mondays at 6 or Wednesdays? Just, we need to know the time, and that way we can,
Does this time work for everyone?
Yep.
Thursdays?
Thursdays
That's
can be
Thursday.
problematic.
yeah,
Okay.
if I could just interject, if I could be recognized for a
yes.
moment, ladies and gentlemen, I would strongly recommend that we look at perhaps Monday evenings. And I say that because Tuesdays are typically governmental functions of the school board or the city council. Thursdays, the county commission typically has meetings. Wednesday, a lot of folks go to church. Fridays, no one wants to do anything, right? We know that. So Mondays are a really good night. And I forgot to mention this. I was remiss for not mentioning it, but we had this meeting scheduled for a Monday, and we had tropical storm come through, and we had to reschedule it. So a good recommendation could possibly be maybe the first or second Monday, but that's up to this board. But that way, I think that eliminates a lot of conflicts for folks. But I'll let you discuss that with your board.
First Monday, everyone? First Monday?
Well, that would be next week, next Monday. Are we going to start in November?
Start the November.
First Monday of the month.
First
That works.
Monday. 6 p.m.? Can I have a motion, please?
I second.
I have a second. All those in favor of meetings the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m., say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, the motion's carried. Mondays, the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m., September 27th at 6:29,
That's the note starting with November.
starting with November.
All right, who made the second on that?
I did.
Kim did. Motion was made by Paul. Mhm. So next, we're going to discuss committee rules.
Yep, and if you'll recognize me, I'll give a brief overview.
Okay. We
If you-
must recognize Commissioner.
Thank you very much. And if you, ladies and gentlemen, will go through your package, you will come to the resolution. And we talk about committee rules, but I just wanted to make it a point to, if you look at the resolution, it discusses, I think I have a copy. Do I have a copy of the resolution in my? Very back. Okay. Hang on. Aha, there we go. Okay, so if you found the resolution, this board was enacted by a vote of the Board of County Commissioners, which means we did it by resolution. And if you look at the resolution, it discusses our responsibilities, what we're going to be doing, the composition, the officers, the terms of office. So I would ask between now and the next meeting, ladies and gentlemen, if you could just familiarize yourself with that. Basically, the regular meetings, we're going to establish a schedule, which we've done. The quorum, we need 5 of you to be present to constitute a quorum. So tonight, we're fine, we have a quorum. But if we don't have a quorum, we can't make votes. And the chairman does, if you look under Section 8, the chairman does have the ability to call a special meeting on his own initiative. And if 3 or more members have requested of staff a special meeting, then the chairman will call a special meeting. Location of meetings, we've discussed the time. Now what we'll do is we'll have staff work within what you guys have voted, and we will find a location. We could possibly do it somewhere in District 1. There's a community center out there, a senior center. We'll have different options, so we'll have staff interact with you via the chairman to make sure that we find a location that's going to work for you guys, that we can advertise. As we discussed briefly earlier, the rules of procedure, we will utilize Robert's Rules of Order. And at the very next meeting in November, I will make it a point to ensure that you guys have the information on that, and I'll be prepared to bring a formal presentation on that as well. Sunshine Law, of course, Kristen Houle discussed that with you. The agenda, if you go to Section 12, congratulations to the chairman. You see that you'll have a little bit of a duty there, but of course we're here to assist you. We'll have staff that'll be prepared to assist you. We will have minutes kept. The meetings will be recorded, and someone from the staff will ensure that the meetings are written and that they are presented to you. And then at the next meeting, you will take a vote on accepting the minutes. And so that is basically that. If you'll look through the resolution, it answers pretty much all the questions. It was based upon a previous Board of County Commissioners committee that was established, and that's how we established that resolution. So, and I would entertain any questions from any member about that. And seeing none, I think we can probably move to the very next section. And if you'd like, I could kind of set the table.
Thank you. I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and at this point, if we could get that map up on the big screens. I don't know if David can forward okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for that one. That one. Now, it's a real busy chart, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the impetus for this committee.
It's in their book.
And it's also in your books, so you can get a copy that you can look at. And as you can see, from 2010 to the present, there's been tremendous growth in the entire northwest portion of District 1, primarily in Beulah, with the growth of Navy Federal Credit Union and just the addition of thousands and thousands of additional residential units and housing that's been developed out there. This map, and Horace, by the way, Horace Jones here to my right of the table, he is the director. Horace, why don't you introduce yourself to the committee and let them know who you are and what you do.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Horace Jones. I'm the director for the Planning and Zone Department, better known as Development Service Department of Escambia County. This is Mr. Andrew Homer. He's the division manager. Mr. Charlie Gonzalez, he is our GIS specialist. So, as you can see, most of the development, all of the development in Escambia County, whether it be commercial or residential, it must come through my department. And we have to review it according to the Land Development Code and the Comprehensive Plan of Escambia County. As you can see, as the commissioner stated, this area, the development is there. Many of the projects, they are already approved. There are projects that are already in the initial stages, and some are just pending pre-applications. But as you can see, it's there, and more is coming.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that, Horace. And so we look at that map, and that kind of sets the table for really the necessity for what we've got to do. I will tell you, and many of you are probably aware, out there in Beulah, which is a large part. In fact, if we could forward to this planning area, the precinct, I think that's the next map. It's the one on the, not that one. That one, yeah, that one. Okay, this is the area, ladies and gentlemen. This is the northwest portion of District 1. The brown colored, and these are precincts. So the brown colored is essentially Beulah. It's precinct 43. makes up the largest portion of the northwest section. Then you have the green, which is precinct number 5, and then of course you've got that kind of bluish gray, and that's precinct 68. But that entire area is just undergoing just a radical amount of growth. And when I took office a little less than 2 years ago, there was a movement among some residents out there in Beulah to do a master plan for that area. And as I've spent time in office and I've attended a couple of those meetings and I've looked at it, I really felt like to do one just for 43 wouldn't solve the issue, because a lot of the growth is happening in 5. If you look at the area right along 9 Mile Road, right before it gets to the interstate, that whole area is being developed. It's not even in Beulah, and it's going to go all the way down to Pine Forest Road. There's a gigantic development that's going in there right now. It's going to have retail. It's going to have apartments, condominiums. And so I like the idea of taking the regional perspective. And so this is the study area. And what my goal is for this committee within the next 2 years, I would like to, working with you, I'd like for you to help me and help the residents by developing a master plan for that entire area. And when I say a master plan for that area, as you can see, a lot of it's already built up and developed. And so, we're probably a little late to the party, right, to coin a term, but we've got to do something, because I represent this district, this area, and our infrastructure cannot support the kind of growth that we've seen out there. And I mean, there are many people that say, well, how did this happen? Well, I mean, growth is good. We all need jobs. People need a place to live. But the problem is, we have roads that are very, very insufficient. So that is my goal, and that is what we're going to work for. That's going to be the number one goal of this committee, is to work with staff, work with the community, work with the folks who have already done a lot of work on a master plan for 43, and integrate that into a regional master plan that covers that area. And that's going to entail a heavy lift. Public meetings, charrettes, input from people, input from business stakeholders, and that's the goal. Now, in talking about a master plan for OLF 8, I want to make sure that everyone on this committee knows that the master plan for OLF 8 is separate and apart from what we're doing here, although it's connected to what we're going to do. But whatever we do region-wide has to mesh with whatever the Board of County Commissioners decides to do with OLF 8. And so we have to consider multiple eventualities, because it's right now it's in flux exactly what's going to happen there. We know this. The Board of County Commissioners is going to acquire that property. We've spent $17.3 million to build and acquire a facility in Santa Rosa County that we are giving to the United States Navy in exchange for this property. So we will be getting that property. The board has made a vote to give 100 acres of that property to Navy Federal Credit Union, and so, well, yeah, I mean, we're not going to just give it to them. They're going to have to purchase it. We're going to have staff is going to start negotiating in exchange for jobs and, of course, a market rate for the land. So, but whatever's left there, I mean, there's just some eventualities we have to look at. It could be left open, a vacant field. I don't think that's going to happen. It could be a commerce park. It looks less likely that that's going to happen. It could be some form of mixed-use development with apartments and condos. That could happen. Or it could be a regional park. We really don't know, but we do know this. There will be something on that footprint. So when we do our regional plan, we have to account for any one of those 4 possibilities. So the planner that we bring in to work with you will know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. You guys don't know how to do it, but we will work with staff and a professional planner to do it, so that, because the decision about what is going to happen on OLF 8, that rests with the Board of County Commissioners. This board that you all serve on will not make that decision. It will be our board. And then our plan, what we do on this board, is going to have to mesh with that. So I just wanted to make sure that we all knew that distinction. Now, to talk about infrastructure challenges and project prioritization, we have staff here from the county engineer's office. We also have staff here from planning and zoning, and we have staff here. I see David Forte and Colby Brown here from our roads department. So what I'd like to do at this point, ladies and gentlemen, is to have them come up and discuss these issues briefly with you, and then if you have questions, of course, feel free to weigh in. Just recognize them, but Well, I think the most important pressing issue in this area, it is traffic, roads, and stormwater. Those are the big challenges. So Colby and David?
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Colby. Oh, yeah, introduce yourself.
Yes, Colby Brown. I am with Public Works Department. I'm Deputy Director over Traffic and Transportation, so it's good to be with you guys this evening. Thank you guys for your service on this committee. Look forward to some good things going on, especially as we're looking at this master plan. What I want to do is just introduce myself, let you know that, of course, again, Traffic and Transportation's our specialty. That's what we're working very diligently on within our entire county, specifically in this area with a lot going on. Just had a meeting earlier this morning with the FDOT regarding the Beulah interchange and the Highway 29 connector and how all that's going to work. So that's going to be integral in all that's going on in the Beulah area. So we'll have some more for you over the next few meetings to discuss and let you guys know how that's going. And we'll keep you up to speed on that. What I'm going to do is turn this over to David. I'll let him introduce himself and then kind of talk you through some of the items that we've got going on, some of the issues, projects, things going on within the Beulah area. Any questions for me real quick, high level? No, thank you.
Thank you. David Forte, Escambia County Public Works. I just handed out to you, if everybody hopefully got a copy, I think there was 7 or perfect. Everybody got one? So I didn't have any formal presentation tonight, so I wasn't exactly sure how the agenda of the meeting was going to run, but I figured just kind of printing off a snapshot of some of the projects that we've got going on or the Department of Transportation's got going on, at least allow you to digest it over either tonight or over the next several weeks so we can talk more about them in depth at the next meeting. But it's something that I think is, we update pretty frequently. And so I'd be glad to work with you. I can speak to them if you'd like. I mean,
Why don't we go through one by one just briefly, David?
Yeah, sure.
For the benefit of everyone.
And I've got more copies if you'd like.
Let me get one.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
And I intended to, you might see on the side of them where it says like the little, I guess it's a star. I intended to create a map and transpose it on the map you saw earlier with the precincts. I'm not very good at that. Charlie Gonzalez is good at that. So hopefully by the next meeting I can work with Charlie and I can transpose these projects onto a map so you can kind of reference it on a map rather than just on obviously a piece of paper. But as Colby mentioned, the first one is the we call the US 29 connector project. That's the one that we met earlier with the Department of Transportation. I guess I don't have a really map to show you, but the intent there is to actually construct a new interchange on I-10, Interstate 10 in that Beulah area, as well as having some connecting roadways to there to help alleviate a lot of the traffic that's we're currently experiencing in the Beulah area. The next was number 2, but there's really 2 bullets. That's the 9-mile road 4-laning project, another FDOT or Florida Department of Transportation project. Obviously, everyone here either working or living in D1 in that area, you are very familiar with that project. The department plans to wrap that up in the next year and a half or so. But they're working through it, and so obviously we're in really close coordination with them. We attend their weekly coordination meetings, and so anything that comes up, I tend to just update this document as we go, and hopefully every few weeks or so I'll be able to provide you some more updates. The next one is one that actually was just, I guess is kind of sort of complete. Mobile Highway at Woodside Drive, that's actually, I forget the name of the school.
Beulah Elementary.
Beulah Elementary, I'm sorry.
Yep.
There was a turn lane construction project that worked in there. We're working with the department to see if they can actually add I guess you can call that a eastbound right turn. They did construct a westbound left turn into there. So minor operational improvement project, but definitely would help with some of the congestion we're experiencing on Mobile Highway. The next one is also on Mobile Highway at County Road 99, Beulah Road. That's actually, if you've been in that vicinity, DOT is actually in the process of constructing a traffic signal as well as turn lane improvements, new turn lanes, extending turn lanes in that area. So an intersection improvement project that's going on. I think they plan to wrap that up in the next several months as well. So that'll definitely help move traffic, at least in that vicinity, a little bit more efficiently. Number 5, 9-mile road at Rebel Road intersection. That's kind of more of a future project. We've been working with the department. They did study that intersection, and again, it's kind of hard to see on the map, but that's just west, obviously, of Beulah Road. Go a little further, you got Rebel Road. There's the new school on the south side that you're aware of. The department did warrant a traffic signal for that intersection, so we are working with them to figure out when it could be funded, when we actually could see a traffic signal be constructed at that intersection as well. Similar to what you see that's going on at County Road 99 and Mobile Highway. That's probably what you would essentially see at the 9 Mile Road and Rebel Road. The last couple, 3, Longleaf Drive, it's on here. I think it falls in one of the precincts.
I think it's in 68, yeah.
Perfect. I was trying to follow the map and make sure the projects fell in there. So the county is working, this is a local project, one that will actually be 4-laning. The area of Longleaf Drive from Pine Forest Road back east to Kemp or Weimar, actually Kemp Drive. There's the 3 schools, I believe, on the north side of the road. So obviously it's not one that would just improve the flow on there, but also provide some benefit to the school district as well. We are in design, and we do have the local funding set aside for construction. So once design is complete, we hope to turn around construction shortly thereafter. Mobile Highway at Klondike Road, similar to 9 Mile Road and Rebel Road. The department studied that recently, and it is warranted for a traffic signal. As you're hearing, a lot of things are being warranted. That typically means there's growth in the area. So the department does plan to fund that project. When I say department, that's the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT. They do plan to fund that project, and they're hoping to construct that intersection improvement project in the fiscal year 2022 timeframe. So in the next 4 years or so, we should see some improvements going on there as well. And lastly is actually a drainage project. I'm more on the traffic side, but I do know that we do plan to have some stormwater improvements. We're calling it the Klondike / Dunaway Lane. Yes. That's north of Mobile Highway before you get to Wild Lake, doing a stormwater facility there to help with the drainage in the vicinity. So this is just a kind of snapshot of a few of the projects we've got going on. We have a lot of future planned projects as well. I didn't add them specifically here. I wanted to add just kind of current or very near future projects for you. But obviously, as we move forward, we can expand this as you want. Hopefully by next meeting, I'll work with Charlie, and we can transpose these projects onto a map for you that gives you a visual reference. But yeah, I appreciate you guys devoting your time to serve, and we'll be glad to work with you. If you have any specific questions, I'll be glad to try to answer. Fantastic.
If I might, I see Chris Kerb here, and this is our stormwater guy. And so do you want to tell them about any particular projects up in that area that you think are, I know Rebel Road, we finished one fairly recently.
We finished that one
and
just recently.
Any others that you want to highlight?
Well, Commissioner, I have $293 million worth of drainage projects countywide. Only about $40 million of it's funded, so.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The big project that we have in this area is the Klondike Dunaway project. It's being funded by Restore. It started out with a piece of property that flooded in the April 2014 storm event, pretty severe. We had the 11 Mile Creek Basin Study report done that identified 14 stormwater ponds in the 11 Mile Creek Basin. So a lot of 11 Mile Creek drains, well, most of it is in the north end where we have our major problems, but it also drains in through your district as well. Sure. So we identified a pond site in the Klondike Dunaway area because the gentleman was ready to sell the property. Then we got Restore funding for the project, and he sold the property to somebody else. Oh. So, and he has a big house, large piece of property. So we're looking at trying to coordinate with the new property owners, to see if we can work that out. We may have to pick another site, but that's the one project that we've got going on. I've got a couple of master drainage plans, I think 3 for this area, so there's lots of projects in there.
But not all of them are funded, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with stormwater. I got more need than I have money.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you stepping up today and
Yes,
giving
sir.
an update. Thank you. All right, I guess we'll move to the other areas of concern in Northwest District 1, and that's where I think I want to hear from you guys. I mean, you live up there, you work up there, you're connected. I've lived across the street from Navy Federal for 15 years, owned a house in Belridge Forest, so I've seen a lot of the growth, but so we know the traffic. But I'd like to hear from you all, and tell me what you think the challenges are in your circles, the folks that you run with, and what you'd like to see up there. And I guess maybe we'll go right down the row.
Okay, I'll get started. Traffic, obviously.
Traffic.
I think one project that I did not see on the list that I'm aware of, it's in the very early stages, is there are some additional improvements along 9 Mile, the 9 Mile Road corridor improvement. I didn't see that on the list, but I think it's maybe in such early stages. Maybe that's why. But it's my understanding there will be some additional improvements.
Stormwater or traffic?
No, traffic.
Traffic, oh.
Traffic. And I don't really have any questions regarding the stormwater.
Oh, David.
David's going to answer my question.
Absolutely. I believe you're speaking to the 9 Mile Road corridor improvements, essentially the working with the Navy Federal property and tying back into I-10. Yeah, that is the only reason I did not add it on here, is just because it is in such a preliminary
Yeah.
state. But I will work with the department and maybe provide an update for the next meeting for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have anything, well, there was one, but I know we mentioned at the last town hall meeting, was a concern for me because I live right off of Blue Angel.
Okay.
And, you know, there's so much traffic, and we have, right in the area where I live, it floods, like Blue Angel just floods out right there off of Perkins Street, and you can't, you know, kind of get through when the water gets really bad. But I believe, I remember us saying something about the cost of Blue Angel. There was just a study done, and the cost was prohibitive right now.
Yeah,
So,
unfortunately.
you know, I think we'll push that one back. And I understand we've got some other areas we got to get to pretty quickly. So, but other than that, I don't have any questions.
I basically want to reiterate what Dr. Bryant said. I think the main concerns are traffic. In particular, I live on the south side of District 1, more going towards Warrington area. And at that area, traffic on Gulf Beach Highway in particular is picking up heavily. I mean, there doesn't seem to be sufficient roadway there or traffic lights to control the amount of volume of traffic that's occurring. And as you said, you know, there's a flooding issue over that way because we're low there. So unfortunately, there's no money to fix it, is what we're hearing. So that's what would be my concerns. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add. I mean, my personal stories of flooding and traffic, really. But, so, I mean, I think that we've got the priorities kind of straight, at least on the things that need to be addressed first.
You'll never guess what I'm going to say. Traffic.
Traffic.
Traffic, yeah. I think that's, living in Beulah for 11 years, you know, I've seen the growth. I think the concern a lot of people might have is just the pace of the growth out there, and, you know, and I think that's why we're here right now. But, you know, there's some minor flooding issues. 8 Mile Creek is always going to flood during a big rain, and, you know, people that live out there know how to work around that. But I think one of the main things we can tackle, I think, would be the traffic, like everyone else says.
Joey?
Besides the traffic, I would like to, convenience would be a huge thing I think we should tackle on maybe having Beulah more of a town center area and address, you know, right now we have to drive a long distance for grocery stores, post office, restaurants. I mean,
Yes.
it's just the whole, you know, maybe the core of a town needs all these support items and we can keep some of that money closer in Beulah as well versus sending it down 9 Mile Road to some other communities. So, and there's probably some other functions in there that we should look at as well, but that's one of my main concerns, and we got a great school across the road, so I think we're covered at least at the middle school and elementary. So maybe, those are some of my concerns, is mainly convenience to
For the resident.
day-to-day life in Beulah. So anyway,
Fair
that's all
enough.
got.
I agree with you. I do. I mean, look, one restaurant, Tom Thumb. I mean, is there any other restaurant in Beulah? I tell people that they think I'm joking. In Beulah, Tom Thumb or delivery pizza, that's it. Can we please get something? Yeah, I'm with you on that. Mr. Taylor?
My concern living there is obviously traffic. And then whenever at the town hall meeting, you mentioned the master plan and all, I wanted to be involved in that. I don't want to sacrifice, the people, what they have at there, the style, the lifestyle, the communities and stuff by rerouting, bringing in more and not having a plan for that.
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure there's a plan. I say make sure, I want to be a part of, that there's a plan to address the things that are coming. We know it's growing, but we don't want to have people lose what they have in their communities. And I'm not talking about Beulah community as a whole, but like the smaller areas, the different streets that you mentioned and things like that, just having that master plan, and that's what I want to be a part of. And so just concerned with that.
Very good. Very good. Well, it looks like we are coming very rapidly to the end of our adjournment. We've already handled the last bullet, which is a selection of our next date for the meeting. What we'll do is staff will work and we'll find the location. And like I said before, we'll hopefully, does doing it out in District 1, does that work better for you guys out in the Beulah? I see some head nods. Yes? Yes. Oh, wow, that's right. Hey, yeah, hey. Hey, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's an amazing school. It's incredible.
We have different size meeting rooms, whether you have a group this size or if it's just the 10 of us. We can
book
accommodate
it.
that.
Book them, Dano. Right. So you're good with that, the first Monday in November?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll
Does
put
that
it on
work
the
for you guys?
calendars.
All right, well, that crosses one off of our list. Very good. And maybe that'll be a regular location. I mean, we got an inn, right? Fantastic. All right. And now we'll open it up to you, Mrs. Chairman. Anything from staff? You've got the staff assembled. You've got me. Any questions or comments?
I don't have any comments. To anyone else? Questions, concerns? I know we're in the early stages yet, so maybe next meeting. But
And-
thank you for everyone, staff especially, for coming out and speaking with us.
And so I will work with you to get the agenda going, and then we'll hand that off as we go. But I think we've accomplished something. We've got the middle school locked down, and that's going to be great.
got a date
we got
and
the chair,
time?
we got the vice chair.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you all coming tonight. I look forward to the next meeting, and again, we'll talk more about Robert's Rules of Order next time, and we'll start laying out the path of what we're going to do. But thank you all for coming tonight.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn? Wait, Debbie would like to say something.
We're adjourned, but let me just say this.
No, we're not yet. There's going to be a motion in a second.
I'm sorry, I've adjourned it, never mind. Don't forget that in the packet, there is that blue form that needs to be filled out. If you want to fill that out tonight and give it to me,
That'd be great.
that's great. If not, just send it to me,
Okay.
okay? Or send it to wherever they say to send it to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll take a motion in a second to adjourn?
Yeah. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right, meeting adjourned on the 27th of September at 7 PM.
Thank you very much.
Who seconded that?